good afternoon. Are you awake? I mean, I realize it's gorgeous outside and you're in here. We appreciate that very much. Hey, I'm delighted to be here. And a couple thank yous right off the bat. Kathy already took care of some, so I won't recognize the directors again. And I'm not going to talk to you about the value of music. Why would I? We're at a middle school honor band concert. I think you get it. But as parents, I do want to advise you three things while I'm thinking about it, and that is what I call the 3 V's. In this time of budget cuts and crunches and eliminations, the 3 V's, parents, please be vigilant. Be vigilant about music in your schools. Be vigilant about the band programs in your schools. Go to those board meetings, because anything can happen. Just know what's going on. If it needs it, then it's time to be vocal. Please stand up for the work that your band directors do, for how important band is in your schools, for how important music is in your schools, how important the arts are in your schools. And when the time comes, folks, be vicious. Be vicious. Fight to keep music in your schools. Fight to keep these band programs in your schools. Fight to keep these incredible educators that help your kids find their musical soul in their schools, because that'll help keep events like this and the other events that you've heard about. It's so important. Don't be passive, not now. I've had a great time with your students. Oftentimes when I get a chance to go out and do different kinds of honor bands, it kind of runs the gamut. I mean, I'll be honest with you, sometimes it's just like herding cats. It's just a whole weekend of herding cats. And, I'd have been better off just to throw out a big old yarn ball. But I challenged these students with our one-day of rehearsals. I challenged them to be professionals and asked them to perform as they think a professional would perform, but also to treat others as professionals. How would a professional make a mark in the music? How would a professional react if they heard someone make a mistake? How would a professional musician just treat someone else? And they rose to that challenge. And I rewarded them by giving them one break yesterday, which I thought I was feeling very kind. So in the morning I gave them 10 minutes, because I'm that kind of guy. But they were absolutely delightful. And it's a credit to the directors when students can come in on short notice and do what these guys have done, but even more so how they conducted themselves. And I don't always get to say this, so I want to reiterate it and then stick a wedge under it. They were so great to work with. They were polite. I know they're not at home. They were polite and quiet, and they smelled fine, you know? It was great. We really appreciate it. So we've had just a great time talking about music and three-legged dogs and other things. But we have a very special program for you, and that's why I'm giving you my remarks now. I do also want to thank Laura Conrad and Marlon Strickland. Were absolutely terrific in organizing this. It's been one of the most well-organized and in terms of communication, well-communicated events that I've done. But I also want to recognize Matt Frost and his students here at Beaver Creek High School. They have been behind the scenes doing a ton of stuff. They're the folks that you've seen up here doing chairs. And Matt even took time yesterday to do the percussion sectionals, and I don't think we recognize them yet. So if you give them a hand, Beaver Creek High School. So once again, thank you for coming. We have a special program for you this afternoon. It's a theme program. It's entitled Gettysburg, the Turning Point. And the music that you're going to hear is going to be centered around that theme, but rather than listen to me prattle on wearing a penguin suit, what I thought we'd do is bring someone who maybe has a little different perspective. Now, in one life, Alan Howie was a retired Air Force colonel and was an assistant professor of history at the United States Air Force Academy. But the person that we're going to bring out to you here in just a moment is a private in the Engineer Battalion of the Army of the Potomac. Would you please welcome Private Howie.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of General Meade and everyone in the Army of the Potomac, I bid you welcome today to this Beaver Creek Middle School concert. And the first number we're going to play actually evolved during the Civil War from two other previous songs. The Battle Hymn of the Republic was first printed as a poem in Atlantic Weekly in February of 1862. But it evolved from a previous song that a bunch of soldiers made up to tease one of their fellow soldiers who was a member of the Glee Club. His name was John Brown, and he shared a name with a famous abolitionist by the name of John Brown. So they sang, "John Brown's body lies moldering in the grave," every time this one soldier would be late for duty, which apparently was often. But the song also evolved from a previous song, an 1850s campfire spiritual called "Oh Brother, Will You Meet Us on Canaan's Happy Shore," which is quite a mouthful and would probably take about as much time as it will to perform this first number. Well, our next selection evokes the spirit of the first year of the war, when everything was new to the soldiers. There were millions and millions of soldiers, about 2.5 to 3 million soldiers, all total, throughout the entire Civil War. About 10% of the population. That would be an army today of over 30 million troops. Think of that, 30 million troops. And nobody had commanded troops like that, the size of the army. And they all had to learn new things, including the bugle calls that governed their day and directed their movements in battle. Every time they heard this, was the signal for attention, and they knew something was going to come. It might be forward march, it might be commence fire, it might be cease fire, it might be run away. It might be in camp, it might be sick call or fatigue call, or it might be a signal that dinner was about to be served. So the first year of the war, everything was new to everybody, both soldiers and generals alike.